Hey there, YouTubers. What's happening? It's AC, and oh yeah, today's going to be a little bit different of a video, as you can probably see from beautiful Old Glory and the Glock 23 sitting right there in front of you. First off, let me tell you that I definitely believe right now, as Old Glory sits, you can see that she's upside down, and anybody that knows anything about the flag knows that that means that's distress. Okay, and I absolutely believe that our nation, our Constitution, and its citizens are not only in distress, but we are currently being attacked on almost every single front there is. And this video is going to be specifically looking at what's currently going on right now, which, to be quite honest, I really haven't heard anything on talk radio, in the media, and you sure as heck are not going to hear anything about this in the mainstream media. They love it when we the people are deaf, dumb, and blind. The longer we don't know what's going on, the more we become complacent and not willing to act, the better it is for those in power to pretty much put their will on us instead of doing the will of the people, which they're there supposedly to do. But anyway, what's going on right now, and it's actually happening like now. We're talking throughout the entire month of July, and I believe on July 27th is when it goes to our President of the United States, Barack Obama, to sign into law and then to be given to the Senate, and then the Senate will ratify it. And that is the UN's arms treaty. And this arms treaty that they are trying to shove down our throat is really appalling. It's not only appalling, but it is a blatant attack on the American people and their right by the U.S. Constitution to bear arms, and against us as a sovereign nation. And I tell you what, if you look back when this thing was first tried to be shoved down our throat back in 2006 is when I was aware of it. They might have tried to do it prior to that, but in 2006 the Bush administration, they opposed it, and the Bush administration said forget it. They actually shut it down. They said we don't want any part of that. We're not gonna have anything to do with it. But when Obama got into office, and the UN General Assembly went ahead and they started to launch the treaty process again, President Obama decided that the U.S. would take part. Okay? Obama said that sure, the U.S. is going to sit down and we're going to go through this. And that's why we find ourselves where we are now, with what this attack on our Constitution is going to do. Now, let me just first tell you, a lot of the critics say, hey, look, there's nothing wrong with this. It has nothing to do with infringing on the American people and their rights to bear arms. This is not going to intervene in that. This is not going to create any problems for you or nothing like that at all. We are just trying because we are just so concerned, and I'm saying this sarcastically, okay? We are just so concerned for everyone in the world and how these people are gathering guns. When I say these people, I mean different nations, different rogue groups and factions and things like this. They get these guns smuggled to them from nations that I don't want to say, and this is the UN saying it, but we know where they're coming from: Iran, Syria, places like that. And they smuggle these small arms into countries and they commit genocide with them. Now, anybody would say genocide is a horrific thing. There is no doubt about that. No one has the right to slaughter a group of people because they don't like what they look like, the way they comb their hair, or what have you. And that would be my reasoning to say, no, we need arms to defend ourselves from people like that. But of course, the protectionist state believes, oh no, we're going to send in our troops and make sure everything is okay. Now, anybody who knows anything about the UN knows that they are like tits on a bull. They are useless. When the UN goes into a country, they go in as observers. They watch the genocide being committed. They watch the rape and the slaying going on. They don't do anything about it. They watch it, they write a report, they send it back home, and then months and months to years later, the UN comes up with treaties that no one signs, or that if they are signed, no one follows, because they're playing poker with cheaters. The only reason they want the U.S. to sign this is to cripple the U.S., is to prevent its people from owning, bearing, selling, or purchasing firearms. They want to turn the U.S. into all of these other countries that have crime raging out of control with no way to defend ourselves. Take a look at what's going on in your backyard right now. Take a look at what's going on all across the world. I mean, we are in sad shape right now. We really are. And this is one thing, if you look back over time, and you look back especially at how the Nazis did it, everybody slowly takes away your right to defend yourself, to arm yourself, to feed yourself. They take that away from you, and they always say, well, it's for the good of the people. It's not just you, it's about everyone else. And that ends up to being the very thing that enslaves us and cuffs us, makes us weak, makes us impotent. So anyway, if you go on, I'm going to post the URL to this Fox article that I found, and I'm sure you guys out there, especially in the gun community, you guys are probably going to show me things that I had no clue was out there, and that's an awesome thing. That's a great thing that YouTube has taught me. It's the flow of information, and I think it is awesome that we can learn from each other and alert each other and make ourselves aware of what's going on and push each other to take, action. And when I say to take action, I mean get up, pick up the phone, call your congressman, call your senator, call your governor, call your elected officials, write letters. Don't just do it once. You have to do it 50 times. These people that are in office now, they believe that we're pissed off about something for 5 or 10 minutes, and then the next thing you know, they flash a bright colored ball in front of our face and say fetch, and we forget everything about what just happened. And for the most case, they're right. I mean, way too long we have sat around. I mean, let's be honest, we have sat around and we really haven't done much. There are some of us that really have. Okay, but there is a majority of us that bitch and moan and don't do anything about it. Well, now comes time. Let's do something about this. Let's not have this. Let's not let the UN get their foot in the door. Because once a salesman gets their foot in the door, the next thing you know, you are paying for it for the rest of your life. And that is what's going to happen here. You can go ahead and you can look at the National Rifles Association Okay, the NRA. There's a guy there by the name of Wayne LaPierre. Okay, he warns against this treaty. He says that this treaty would mark a major step towards the eventual erosion of the United States Constitution and the Second Amendment gun ownership rights. And that's straight out of the Fox article. He warns against this. This is this guy's job, to sniff out the BS and see where they're trying to hit us below the belt. And this is it. If you're not a member of the NRA and you have a gun, shame on you. Excuse me. You should really be a member. Look at the unions they have now doing whatever they want. Numbers. There's strength in numbers. So anyway, this guy from the NRA, Wayne LaPierre, he says it's more than a bad idea. It's the type of idea that turns your country into something you will only find in the history books. And that's in selective history books. You won't read about that in school, I'll tell you that much. Will become a thing of the past. We won't be able to protect ourselves. We won't be able to protect ourselves from any threat. We will absolutely have to depend on someone else to tell us what they believe is the proper response. And we all know what that means. So anyway, these talks are going on right now. If it gets signed by the president, which I don't see any reason why he would not sign it. Look what's gone on. From there it goes to the Senate. The Senate is a Democrat-controlled Senate. You don't think these people have been hounding on the heels of gun owners and their rights, trying to dwindle it down? Look at Fast and Furious. That was a failed attempt to blame lack gun control in the United States of America, which is crock. That was an attempt to take us down 10 to 20 pegs in one shot, and it failed. Now they're trying to take us down 90% with a swoop of a pen. After the president signs it, it goes to the Senate to be ratified. Once it's ratified, it's done. There's nothing that will prevent them from sending around and doing what they did in Australia. Gun collection. In the UK, gun collection. And I know a lot of you say, well, if that happens, I'm gonna, blah, blah, blah. Let's not, dude. There's no need for any of that. That reinforces their agenda. Let's stop it before it even becomes a thought. Before they have the ability to prey on the weak-minded with these commercials and these ads and say, oh, we're not going to do this, when you know that's what they always do. And I don't mean that as Democrat, because I got news for you. Democrat, Republican, I don't know what happened to this country, man, but it's all, it's all pretty much bad as far as I can see. It's up to the people to voice their opinions, to act, and to stop these things. So anyway, I'm just praying you guys are aware. I'm praying that if you haven't acted, if you weren't aware, I'm praying this video makes you at least go look on the web. Don't take my word for it. And don't go to, one side or the other. Go to them all. If you're going to make a conscious decision, make sure that you look at both sides of the argument. And then look to yourself. Name one time that a government official, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, name one time that they've ever given you their word of honor and kept it. I'm telling you, don't let a salesman get his foot in the door. You will be paying for it for the rest of your lives. This UN arms treaty is going to be signed on the 27th of this month. Not long. Let's get together. Let's voice our opinions. Let's start some kind of a form. Let's start to get a piece of paper, a physical piece of paper, signed. I know that's something, with crossing, from one state to the other, we can't do it. But surely we can start in a email that goes around from person to person. They put their name on it, they put their address, and they put an electronic signature on it. And we can take that. We can take that to our government, because it is our government. We've just forgotten that. We've forgotten to get up and do it for ourselves. If you guys want, I will start it. I will send this to anyone who wants it sent. And then they send it on, and then they send it on. We can do it. But we have to act now. Because being pissed off about something after the fact is ridiculous. It's like being an old drunk at the bar, bitching and moaning about what you could have been, what you should have been, but you never did anything about it. So let's not have that happen to Old Glory. Let's put that flag back where it belongs, standing upright with honor, dignity, by the people, for the people. Let's us do it. And not just preventing this from disappearing. This is also your voice. This is your First Amendment right. Let's not let that be infringed upon just because we're not aware. This is AC. Peace.